Hello there, this is Elora, and I'm a prequel trilogy kid.
And this is Dave, and I'm an original trilogy kid. And you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of the franchise, from industry insiders to indie artists, from obsessive mythologists to mega collectors, all for one goal, to take the hate out of the debate by focusing on one fan at a time to find out what does Star Wars mean to you. Plus, it's just fun to chat Star Wars.
Yeah, it's our favorite pastime.
It's what we do.
Welcome to our Cantina chatter. This is the episode between interview episodes where Dave and I deep dive on our favorite aspect of our guest interviews and just discuss what's interesting to us in the world of Star Wars. Starting with what Star Wars meant to Bryan Barry of Pink Milk.
Last week we had the host of Pink Milk serving Star Wars queerly, Bryan Barry, and he's in the civilian life, he's how do we refer to people? They have their civilian life and then they have their Star Wars life. Their galactic life. In his galactic life, he's the host of Pink Milk serving Star Wars queerly, but in his civilian life, he's a junior high teacher teaching design.
What stood out to you most?
There was a lot of things that stood out to me, but one of the things I'm just going to zero in on today, which I think shows a lot of his personality, is that when he was a kid, he was in a drugstore and saw the comic book adaptation of Return of the Jedi, opened it up, and there on a splash page was Max Rebo. And apparently he fell in love with Max Rebo, thought he was the coolest thing. And then when he saw the movie and Jabba's sail barge blows up, he got what sounded like unconsolably upset about it. He said he had to be removed from the theater. He was crying so hard after the barge exploded because he said Max Rebo was on the barge and he died. And
the good guys.
And the good guys don't die. At first, it's just a really funny story. But I was thinking about my own viewing of Star Wars, and when that barge blows up, I never thought about anyone on it, except for, the obvious bad guys.
Yeah.
But, there's, cooks. It's the same as the Death Star. But not all of them are bad, and Max Rebo, I don't think, is bad. And so, having that high-level awareness at such a young age, having that empathy, being able to do the life math that Max Rebo was on the barge blew up, Max Rebo's dead, and then to again have empathy for that. I just thought that was a really, I just thought that says a lot about his personality, reveals a lot about his personality, and his outlook. And I just thought that was kind of a wonderful little encapsulation of the greater meaning of life within just a story about Star Wars.
That was really nice. Yeah.
That was really nice.
No,
maybe that was too nice.
No. It was very nice. I also never thought about it, so I don't know what that says about us.
Yes, right?
But he's so right. You think about the Death Star and you think about all those kind of background characters, like you said, the chefs and there's other people on these vessels. They were also probably enslaved based off of what we kind of know of the Star Wars universe and especially the Hutt family. So yeah, it speaks a lot about his character, and I think that still shines through today.
I agree. Yes, totally. How about you? What's one thing you pulled away from the interview?
Well, a small fun thing is that I love that Pink Milk is now canon because of his his show. That's very cute.
I gotta say, I love the fact that he loved my reference to making fetch happen.
Yes.
Because I feel like I say that a lot to a lot of blank stares. And
I get it in emails often. Yeah.
Yes. And it's not you. I other people. Not you at all.
No. Yeah. The generational gap, that movie is so iconic to a very specific group of people.
Yes.
The other thing that stood out, and I want to keep this light-hearted, but I do think that it's important. Bryan very generously kind of painted a picture of some of his like dealings with online notoriety. And on like the scary side of things, and how that impacted his art and how that impacted his connection with this community. And I just very viscerally related to it. I had a very large blog following in another lifetime, and also threw it all away because of very similar online behavior. And I think that I think anyone who's like online or especially chronically online, like we are, especially having a podcast, you see it all the time. You see hate comments, you see the negative threads, you see people attacking, frankly, like other creators. But I don't know if you understand the psychological impact of that until it's happening to you on like a grand scale. And especially when it's happening to you, there's like another subsection of that where it's more than just, it's one thing if folks who oppose your viewpoint are loud. And then it's another thing when it almost invites in folks who actually don't care about your viewpoint. They just want to be hateful. And you end up with things like doxing or threats. And when it's just you, sometimes you can hold that. But when it starts involving your family or your friends, in my case, sometimes coworkers, kids, it sounds like we're being kind of brought into his issue. I don't know. Again, I wanted to keep this lighthearted. I think I was inspired by his return because it takes a lot of bravery to get back online after something like that's happened to you. And just also a reminder that, your words carry impact, even if you don't think that they do. And so, like, I don't know, maybe just a little bit of a finger point to the negative side of this fandom. Like, not that they're necessarily the ones that, caused him
or
to...
the violence.
Or the violence part of it. But, like, it all adds up. And, like, it can get really loud. And I don't know, if you have nothing nice to say, like... Go away.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Like, leave people alone. I mean, I think it's one thing to be like, oh, I didn't read, like, to have more of a intellectual kind of response to something. Like, oh, I didn't get that from that. I actually got this. And, like, to maybe disagree in that way. But to just say, oh, you're stupid and, your content sucks and, like, just shitting on somebody's art. I don't know. I was very inspired by him being like, I realized that I missed this community and I wanted to come back and like fuck the haters. And may everybody who suffered from that kind of online takedown find that strength again, because they rob something very integral to who we are, and fuck them.
I feel lame for doing it this way, but it's exactly what the rebellion stands for in Star Wars, is protecting those who have beliefs and like protecting those from the people who want to step all over them.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pillar of his story.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for putting such a fine button on that. That was the lightheartedness I was searching for. It is Star Wars. Like, if you're acting out in that way online, you don't get it. You missed the point. And so actually all your opinions are null and void. There you go.
For Into the Data Pad this week, we are going to take a little trip to the Washington Summer Con. Elora couldn't join me for the con because, life. She had another obligation she had to go to this weekend, and it just happened to fall on the time of Washington Summer Con. So I went down by myself, and because of such a quick turnaround, I'm just doing the data pad by myself tonight. So first of all, the Washington Summer Con takes place in Puyallup, Washington. It's a small town. It's very hard to say. Puyallup. Very hard to get my mouth around. I can barely say Han Solo, much less Puyallup. Anyway, it's a small town in Washington, about an hour south of Seattle. The convention actually takes place on the fairgrounds. It's a large kind of indoor-outdoor facility. It's a giant field. In the summer, it's a fair. There's a baseball field in it that was kind of blocked off. All the panels either took place outside or there was a large airplane hangar where the main stage was, but with open sides. It had a boardwalk atmosphere. Like, there were literally a section of boardwalk games like whack-a-mole, skeet ball, running water where you shoot the balloon with a water pistol, getting it to pop. And, of course, there were boardwalk-like rides, with names like Funtastic, the Tornado, the Rockstar. It's almost like a magic carpet ride where you're sitting in the stands, facing out, and it just goes up and around in a circle over and over again. And depending on where you were, like one of the panel stages was in the shadow of the Rockstar. So in the background, you'd hear this whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And, of course, there was the boardwalk fried food. Just booths and booths of all kind of food. And the reason I bring all this up is because it's such a different kind of convention when it's spread out, where it's outdoors, where you have this kind of relaxed fair atmosphere. It just felt a little more laid back. And then, of course, everything was spread out. They had a Star Wars hall that was at one end of the fairgrounds. And it was just all the cast of the Star Wars shows that they had from Clone Wars. They had Matt Lanter, Ashley Eckstein, James Arnold Taylor, D. Bradley Baker, Catherine Tabor, Nick Fetterman. It's the full cast. And then from Maul Shadowlord, they had Sam Witwer, Vanessa Marshall, Charlie Bushnell, Gideon Adlin, Steve Blum. From Rebels, they had Vanessa Marshall, Tia Sakar, Taylor Gray, Jim Cummings, and Steve Blum. So this hall was just filled with Star Wars talent. It also had droid builders. There was a booth for Kessel rum runners where they make this tiki Star Wars fusion, tiki-style mask, but in Chewbacca or Darth Vader or Yoda's face. And they had all kinds of lanterns, and it was kind of an Art Deco tiki mashup with Star Wars. It was really cool, and I talked to Andy from there, and you'll hear a little bit from him too. And one of the reasons I went down was, to get some interviews with cosplayers, with the droid builders, and anyone else I could find. And one person I got 5 minutes with was Timothy Zahn, and I'll talk about that in very shortly. But I mostly went down to also visit with my friend Vanessa Marshall, who plays Hera. She had a booth. She was doing photo ops. And since it was my neck of the woods, I thought I'd go down to see her panels and hang out a little bit. She was great, letting me hang out at her booth. We were able to have lunch together. And if you want to talk about someone who fits her persona, nothing can describe Vanessa better than Space Mom. And it's always a thrill to see her interact with the fans because she just has this amazing memory. One woman came up and said, we met 2 years ago at a convention. And Vanessa, out of the blue, was like, oh, you mean Billy Bob's Northern Adventure Convention? I just made that up. I didn't catch the name. It wasn't a standard like, oh, Comic-Con? Oh, New York Comic-Con? It was some other name. And the fan was floored. Just like, you remember me? And that's what is so, I think, special about Vanessa is she does remember her fan interactions and she does cherish them so much. And it's just really heartwarming to see, quite frankly. I want to talk about some of the panels, and then I'll share some of the interviews I got with a cosplayer and droid builders, and then I'll share my 5 minutes with Timothy Zahn, which is kind of a funny story. The first panel I went to was the Clone Wars panel. It had the full Clone Wars cast. This was an outdoor panel, and the sun was high in the sky, kind of behind the stage, just beating down on us. It was Friday afternoon. The humidity level was really high for Washington. And then in the background, you could hear that whooshing of the rock star. But all of that was forgotten when the Clone Wars cast came out. They were high energy. They, expressed their concern about us all sitting in the sun. James Arnold Taylor, very high energy, lots of jokes, always kind of there with the humor, saying a lot of things in Obi-Wan's voice, which was really fun to hear. Jim Cummings was there as well, and he responded as Hondo. So, of course, they had questions for the entire cast. One of my favorite was to Nika Fetterman. She was asked a question that I think we all expected this answer, but it was still really fun to hear.
My question to you is, what franchise or character are you always hoping the phone rings that you can return to?
Ventress.
I feel like it would be wrong of me if I left out Ashley Eckstein, who I think is the heart and soul of Clone Wars. I think she's done a lot of heavy lifting in making Ahsoka stay relevant. She has a spectacular view on what Star Wars is. And she was asked kind of a dark question, and she made it light. And I think that's one of the things I also really respect about Ashley. She's able to take a question and kind of spin it without doing too much of a dance, just kind of saying, no, let's look at the brighter side of this.
Now, my question is, Ahsoka has this great presence. Where would you like, and I know this is kind of dark, and I know you're a very light person, where would you like to see her story end? Because we have the ending of so many Star Wars characters. Where does Ahsoka's ending take place?
You are the first person that's asked me this question in a very long time. This used to be the number one question I was asked when we were making Clone Wars. Everyone, well, how's Ahsoka going to die? She has to die. Of course she's going to die by the end of Clone Wars. It was literally, everywhere I went, it was the number one question. And then I would say around season 4 and especially season 5, that question stopped. Then it was, Ahsoka has to live, right? How is she going to live? She survives, right? And so nobody's asked me this question in a long time, and to be honest, I refuse to answer it because there's so many stories left to tell. So I think we're far from discussing what eventually happens to her, because just even between Clone Wars and Rebels, there's still 15 years in between there that we haven't even explored. So sorry, I don't want to answer that question.
And then on Saturday, I went to the Maul panel, which included the entire cast. And one of the things that I came away from this was the cast really was a family. And Sam Witwer is like the Obi-Wan of the cast, a mentor who's been around the block and wants to see the next generation grow. They talked about how Sam helped them become acclimated to what it is to be in the Star Wars universe, whether it's on the screen or off the screen. They talked about how they try to record together. As Sam said, it's no fun for an actor to be in a fish tank recording alone and having people behind the glass saying, hey, try it more like this. Hey, why don't you give it this feeling? So really, this feeling of family shone through, especially the idea of Sam and Vanessa helping the younger actors like Gideon and Charlie, find their own place within the Star Wars universe as their characters and as actors. And I don't think that's what every animation cast is like. But I think it's a great thing that had started with Clone Wars. I believe the cast all recorded together as much as possible during Clone Wars. And I think that set the tone for everything, and Sam has been carrying that forward, which is I think it's a great bridge. It's a great legacy to continue, because you do feel the presence of each of the voices together when they record together. But one thing that really stood out to me was Sam Witwer describing what the Empire's Inquisitors meant to Maul.
Those Inquisitors needed to feel different in this show. And Marak is the voice of that. Because they needed to feel like Palpatine's Empire is darker than what Maul thought it would be. Maul thought it was going to be, some version of the prequels, right? There was still going to be color in the galaxy. There was still going to be magic in the galaxy. There was still going to be passion, and the strength would dominate the weak, and yada, 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 dark side, dark side, dark side. However, it wasn't supposed to completely destroy everything. Palpatine's dark side, Palpatine's empire, is completely mechanized, it's cold, it's empty, and the Inquisitors are the representative of that. So Maul looks at the Inquisitors and goes, oh, I miss the Jedi Knights, these guys suck. So AJ had to bring that strange sense of, this is all wrong, this is terrible, this is very ghoulish, and Maul doesn't like it at all.
So those were the Star Wars panels I went to. And then throughout the convention, I looked for cosplayers, droid builders, Star Wars hobbyists, I guess you would call them, fans that I could take 5 minutes of their time and interview. This first is Becca. She was cosplaying as live action Hera from Ahsoka, and is on Instagram as _occasional cosplayer. That link will be in the podcast notes, so you can just jump right to it. She told me she has 7 different Twilights she cosplays as, which is a lot for one person, I think. That's a lot of Legoo. That's a lot of makeup. And her makeup is so impressive. She had the smooth green flesh as Hera, and with this subtle blush and eyeliner that really looked natural. It didn't look like red on top of green. It just looked like a red blush blended into her green cheeks. The eyeliners just subtly bringing out her eyes. She had Legoo, which were made of silicone. And it was just all very impressive. So I had to ask her some questions. Can you tell me, who are you dressed as today? And how long did it take you to make this particular costume? Sorry.
I'm dressed as Hera Syndulla, the live-action version from the Disney Plus Ahsoka series, Season 1. And it took me probably about 8 months, but I was working on it off and on. So it wasn't consistently working on it.
Absolutely. And what was one of the most difficult items to create?
Probably the pants. That's probably the most difficult thing. I mean, or could I say the collar of the shirt? That could also, yeah. There was probably 3 or 4. The flight cap. Probably the pants overall was the most difficult. So. It
looks spectacular. It is really great costume. What are 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
I would say the world, the lore, and then the characters, there's just such a uniqueness and such a variety. I would say the Star Wars world is probably one of my favorites. The universe itself, because it's so vast, so diverse, so many different amazing looking characters, and great options to cosplay as, because they all looked awesome. So
Yes. Next, I interviewed a couple of droid builders from Pacific Northwest R2 Builders Club. It was Glenn and Katherine. They told me the story of the R2KT, an astromech droid whose highlight color is pink. I've intercut their telling of the story about KT's origins and why there are so many of them throughout the world. Right now, I believe there's 47 R2KT units across the world, and each one has a number designation. Glenn had built R2KT-26, and Katherine had built R2KT-40. But let's hear them tell the story.
So I actually originally started creating this in, going through the process while my wife and I were stationed in Korea, being prior military. But we didn't start actually doing it until we got back to the United States. I created it because I wanted to go and, the challenge of it, but also I've loved Star Wars since I was a little kid, and being able to share the hobby and the fandom with people has always been, very dear to me because, it always made me happy as a kid, and I want to help give that to the next generation of people.
So I have R2KT26. I started building her about 3.5 years ago, and it took me a year to build. We chose to build her because nobody this side of Colorado had a KT unit, and it was still a really small group at the time. There was only about 16 of them at the time when they were being built. So we decided that we wanted to be the only ones up here, and so that's why we built her.
So the number signifies which one in the order it was created. So the original R2KT was made in early 2000. I don't know the exact year, but the founder of the 501st Legion, Albin Johnson, his daughter was diagnosed with early brain cancer as a child, and while she was going through treatment, the droid builders, one of our groups, created, her favorite thing was R2D2. They created a pink R2D2 and named it R2KT to go with her to treatment and everything else. When she had passed away afterwards, they started using that. They created the Ambassadroids Foundation to go to raise money for cancer research and to go to Make-A-Wish foundations and just see kids, just to make them smile, to try to get through difficult times. Since that time, we've created more of the R2KTs worldwide. There are currently 46 of them worldwide. We have 2 of them here in the Pacific Northwest in Washington. Oh, wow. So we have number 26, and then we have number 40 right here, which is the one that I created.
Well, actually, I had to agree for her to build it.
Oh, really?
Yes, because Albin Johnson, who owns number 1, it was created for his daughter who died of pediatric brain cancer back in 2005. He's the one that we have to get permission to build from to begin with, and he doesn't like to let too many be in the same area because it takes away from the whole, single droid type of concept. Yeah. So he talked to me, she talked to me, we got along and everything. I'm like, sure, you're down in Olympia, I'm over here in Bremerton, and I got no problem with it, and we could do stuff together. There's no reason not to. So it's good. It's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that we do is do charity stuff. So we went to the opening of the new Mary Bridge hospital wing in Tacoma last month, I believe it was. We go to lots of STEM events for schools, just to get kids interested in science and tie it into nerdom, just to kind of rope them in. And they're asking, what does it take to make? Well, lots of reading and lots of math. And they're really excited about that. And we do all kinds of stuff locally.
And we do this for the kids. Right. In the end, we go to children's hospitals. We bring awareness to pediatric diseases. Katie has a mission, right, to keep the original girl's memory alive, but to bring awareness so that we can eventually kick this cancer thing away.
So after talking about the inspiring story behind the R2KT droids and all the positivity and charity that is part of that, I, of course, asked them what 3 elements make Star Wars to them. What are 3 elements of Star Wars that make Star Wars to you?
Oh my gosh. Darth Vader. Uh-huh. Darth Vader. And Darth Vader.
There's so much with that. 3 elements. To me, I got into Star Wars because my brother was really big into it, and he moved out when I was a little kid. So when he came home for Christmas, it was something that we could connect to. And then it was always something like if I'm having a rough day, I could always put that on and kind of have an escape from the craziness and just have be my comfort zone.
Next, I spoke to one of the vendors that were in the Star Wars Hall. They were Kessel rum runners. And as I said at the beginning, they had an amazing Tiki Star Wars mashup. And I spoke to Andy a little bit about that. Now, this is Kessel Rum Runners, and it looks like you do kind of bar items and prints and like a Tiki mashup between Star Wars and Tiki.
Precisely, yeah. We're a Star Wars Tiki Club out of Tacoma, Washington. We generally run ourselves out of the Devil's Reef, and we work hand in hand with Geeky Tikis, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Now, what got you into Star Wars? What was your first Star Wars experience, and can you take me through that?
Well, I was born in '84, so when I was a kid, I didn't get to see him in theaters until the late '90s. So it was my dad, and when he would kind of point out the obvious facts now, but when you're 5, and my dad saying, Obi-Wan Kenobi was Luke Skywalker's master, and I'm just like, my dad knows so much stuff about Star Wars. And as I grew up and dove into the novels and the lore and the legacy stuff, it hit like, oh, my dad's seen the movies. He doesn't know a ton about Star Wars, but now I'm so far in, I can't back out now. I love this. So it spiraled into collecting conventions and just out of hand.
That's awesome. Can you take me through some of these items you have here? Because the mashup of Tiki and Star Wars is really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. So Chris here prints our lanterns, and we also have, you can't see it in there, but it's called an alcoholicron. So we have a Sith holocron with the actual emblem of the bar that we run out of, the Tiki bar.
Oh, nice.
And that's also part of our logo as well. And some Tiki masks, and then we have a bunch of artists that do painting and stuff as well.
I really love the Chewbacca Tiki mask and the Darth Vader Tiki mask.
Yeah, it turned out really well. There's a Yoda over there that hasn't been made into a mask yet.
It would be great to see these in Disneyland's Tiki Room.
Right? Yeah, or just snuck in there a little bit, or in Trader Sam's.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
Mysticism. I love that. The good guys win, but the bad guys have a pretty good shot at it. And, I think it bleeds into the collecting. I get a hunt, a lifelong hunt, knowing it's something I could never fully complete, but now I get to pick out what's special to me, or make what's special to me.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Yeah. Yes. And finally, I spoke with Timothy Zahn. I got 5 minutes of his time, maybe a little bit more. I went up to say hello, to introduce myself. I think it was the 20th anniversary publication of Heir to the Empire. I got it signed. By Timothy, and I also took the opportunity to introduce myself, try to explain the podcast, and asked him if he would join us to share with the world what the Star Wars mean to him. And he very politely declined. He explained that he loses half a day every time he does a podcast. You have to mentally prep for it, and then you do it, and then you have to mentally come down from it, and that takes away from his writing. So it totally, as someone who, when they have to do something during the day, that becomes like they have an appointment or something during the day, and it becomes the biggest thing, and then you feel like you can't do anything until that is done. I totally understood. Then he said, but if no one's around, and if you promise only to take 10 minutes, as long as there aren't any fans around, and mostly because his job there is to talk with the fans, take photos, sign books, and that's what he wants to do. And I totally respect that. And anytime you take 10 minutes of time away from that, that's, what's great about everybody there is they take a moment to have a moment with you. It's not just like, oh, here's your signature, thanks. Here's your signature, thanks. Here's your signature, thanks. They take a beat with each person, and that's really delightful and really admirable. So I wanted to respect his time and his wishes, but I walked around the convention floor a bit, circled back. There were still people there. Walked around a bit, circled back. People were still there. I walked around a bit, got all my audio equipment ready, saw that one person was getting a book signed and no one else was in line. And as soon as they left, I was, hey, Do you have 10 minutes? Can I just take 10 minutes? And he looked around. And he's like, well, as long as no one shows up. So as I was doing it, of course people showed up. You know, I'm sitting here holding this recorder, holding it up to his face. This is where I wish E were here to to bring this story out of me a little bit better, I think. So I had to make it really quick. I blew through it. There's parts of me that was like, oh, why didn't I ask a more Zahn specific question as opposed to his views on Star Wars? Regardless, I was thrilled to get him. Here it is. So I'll just keep it to 4 questions, Timothy. Thank you so much. First question, are you ready to share with the world what does Star Wars mean to you?
Star Wars was one of my first loves in science fiction. It, as many people have pointed out, it was kind of the first universe we saw on film that felt lived in. Star Trek was all shiny and glossy and everybody had nice clean uniforms. This was a universe where your hero can say about a ship, what a piece of junk. And it felt real. You don't ever think of Scotty saying, no, this one goes there, that one goes there. Yes. It had that lived in feel. At the same time, you had the overbearing empire that is a real threat to the heroes, and put in all of the romance and friendship, camaraderie, humor. All stories ultimately are about people, because that's who the viewers or the readers connect with. Everything else, if it takes center stage, you're going to start losing people. So Lucas had that wonderful mix that just has entranced and resonated with people for close to 50 years now.
Yes, yeah. We're 1 year away from 50 years.
Yes, we are.
Now, what first introduced you to Star Wars, and can you take me through that experience?
It was the second night it was in the theaters. A New Hope was in the theaters. My first impression, we get the crawl. My first indication I was going to like this music, or this movie, was when the Star Destroyer appeared and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. It was the first time I'd ever had a sense of genuine size in a movie. We'd had large ships before, 2001, A Space Odyssey. It had the ship there. It hadn't felt the same way as that Star Destroyer coming overhead. And that was, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to like this movie.
And I know there's a lot of people here. Just one final question. What are 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
It is, again, the mix of adventure, friendship, danger, risk, sacrifice, humor, conflict. Every universe has their own feel. Star Trek, Star Wars, Buffy, Firefly, they all have their same feel. And this is the one. Many of the others have also resonated with me, but this is, I don't know, my first love in movie science fiction, perhaps.
Yeah. Timothy, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time.
You're welcome. Thanks.
May the Force be with you.
And with you.
So that's a quick look at my adventures at Washington Summer Con. I hope you got a sense of what it was like. I do want to thank Puyallup for hosting Washington Summer Con. I want to thank Vanessa again for putting up with me, quite frankly, just being her shadow there. And I want to thank everyone I talked to, Becca, Andy, Katherine, Glenn, Timothy Zahn. It was such a fun experience, and I'm so glad that I was able to bring it to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a sense of what it was like, and maybe next year we'll all go together.
All right, I'm ready. What's our dark side of the week?
Okay, so this is Dave's Dark Side. It's a chance for me to be selfishly critical of some Star Wars something. This may just be a spray of opinion. Okay. I really want Disney to start making some season 2s and some sequels. I want them to start allowing every time they run into and I don't know if it's a major failure, a minor failure, things like Solo, which I think would be considered a minor box office failure. Not a great failure, just a minor box office failure. But it's been, 8 years and we still don't have a sequel to that?
Yeah.
Acolyte. There's a lot to be said about good and bad about the Acolyte, but I'd like to see a season 2. Skeleton Crew, same thing. And the point and the reason why I so want them to continue these stories are for two things. One, these actors aren't getting any younger, especially like Skeleton Crew. Like, don't Stranger Things Skeleton Crew, where you have these 25-year-olds dressed up like 1985 Sears catalog models,
with lip filler.
With lip filler. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like trying to pass off these adults as early teen children is to me regrettable. Like, the guy who played Solo in Solo, A Star Wars Story, is probably the age of Harrison Ford in Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Like in Star Wars in 1977. He's probably his mid-30s by now. Also, the sequel trilogy cast, Rey, Poe, Finn, they're not getting any younger. And I'd like to see Disney take advantage. Disney learned the lesson about nostalgia, which is one, I think, regardless of how you feel about the sequel trilogy, one of the greatest missed opportunities was having the 3 original characters, Han, Leia, and Luke, and hopefully R2-D2, Chewbacca, and C-3PO as well, all in one scene together. Not a big, just all in one scene together for that moment. And they missed out on that. And now they're missing out on evolving their stories to a point where they could become, I hate saying it this way, but it is Dave's Darkside, acceptable. Like what Clone Wars did for the prequel trilogy, they have the opportunity to do for these properties now if they just would start developing those stories. Because how often The Office would have been canceled these days with the season 1 it had, and it is a classic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other shows
Parks
like
and Rec
that.
were the same show, with same thing. That
Parks
first
and
season,
Rec.
clunky.
Yes. Not everything is Friends an immediate hit. And so they need those. Oh, Star Trek. I think Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek The Original Series, both shows that needed a little bit of time to kind of grow and find itself. Let the shows grow and find themselves. Don't wait till the actors are too old to play those roles anymore, or to have to then become nostalgia bait and be like, you know what? I don't want to see a 55-year-old Rey passing the baton down to some next generation character. I want to see Rey's story. Give us Rey's stories. And I just feel like it is a giant missed opportunity, just like the missed opportunity of having all the major the major 3 inside of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any turn to the light side. The past few times I've turned to the light side in some way. This, Disney, get off your ass and start making some sequels.
I don't really think that's that dark, though. You're like, give me more content while we still have the actors.
I think there's a debate to be had, is like, any content good? Or should it only be good content? And I think my counter argument is content develops as you go. It doesn't come out fully birthed. It doesn't come out fully formed. It is like, you look at just Star Wars alone, 1977 Star Wars, what Ben Burt brought to it as a sound supervisor, what Marsha Lucas brought to it as an editor, all contributions that are an evolution of like, oh, I've got this footage, I will make this out of it.
Yeah.
And Disney is not making the footage. Make the damn footage, and something will happen.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to be $1 billion, but you know what? One of these things might be.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Just they're leaving. What do you call that? Leaving something on the field. They're leaving it
on
all
the
on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Hearing that the Rey movie was shelved has been rage-inducing.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
They keep trotting these actors out going, oh, look, we have Rey. She's going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to film. I feel sorry for her. I'd be like, Disney.
Oh, Daisy Ridley has been screwed. Yeah.
I am not doing another Investor Daily call until I'm on set. And I'm on set and there's a cut.
Yeah. Yeah. You've pulled me to the dark side.
I pulled you to the dark side. So that's what Star Wars means to us this week. We want to thank Bryan Barry again for sharing his Star Wars story with us. And let us know what you think. What did you think about our conversation with Bryan? Also, what did you think about Washington SummerCon and my adventures there?
Dave went out on his own.
I was out on my own. And then Dave's Darkside, what do you think? Should Disney just like man up and just start making sequels, or is their cautious approach at content making something that you think is working?
You know how we feel.
Yeah, you know how we feel. You can join in on the conversation on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. And if you're liking the show, please give us 5 stars because it really helps get the word out there.
Help us be seen.
Yes. And next week, we have Tyler from Beyond the Cinema. His handle on Instagram is at Beyond the Cinema. And he created a practical special effects spaceship battle as a tribute to Star Wars for this past May the 4th. And really excited to talk to him about how he made that come to life and what got him into Star Wars and, you know, all our standard questions.
It should be a fun time. Yeah.
Until then, may the Force be with you.
And with you.
Woohoo!
Yay! Success!
You know what would be great if Starfighter was a code name for the next Rey movie?
I actually wondered if she wouldn't make an appearance, but anyway.
Yeah,